Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. And welcome back to the Amateur Otaku podcast. This week we are covering My Filler Academia. Joining me as always are my friends and co-hosts, Isaac Wolf, Leo Rydel, and of course, I'm President Mike, talking all things My Hero Academia manga, movies, anime, when there is actual anime. First off, we took a little break last week, guys. It was a filler episode, and this week there's no manga chapter, so we're actually covering last week's manga chapter 320. So we'll get to that later on. But first off, Isaac, you and I watched that last week's episode, episode 106. Long time no see, Selkie. What'd you think of that one, man? Leo, we know you didn't check that one out, so we'll throw it to you in a second.
I mean, I don't know if it was you or Leo that said that this character didn't really get an episode to shine in the last season. So in that regard, I can understand why they wanted to give them a quote-unquote filler episode. But the fact of the matter is that it were a beach episode for about good chunk of it. I was just why because in case you didn't know, beach episodes are commonly used as time to save money on animation budget episodes, depending on the series. So it just and it's much more interesting. I'd rather see them kicking ass and let them shine as much as possible than, well, the beach part, if you get what I mean. And which is why it was. I get the intention, but please, this was just a pointless. Just give them a better episode dedicated if they need to have a filler episode dedicated to them.
I get you. This, like you were saying, kind of feels like a makeup episode. We know the girls don't get a lot of focus, so this episode featured Uraraka and Asui and Nejire as the main characters, right?
Yeah.
It, like you said, the plot could have been better. I still enjoyed it for the most part. It just came at a really awkward point in the series. Like you said, this felt like this should have been last season, especially it's a beach episode, but we've already established we're in January in the timeline. So how is that even working? Is this a flashback or... I mean, no, it can't be a flashback because of Black Whip is referenced, but it's just kind of awkward and it doesn't fit in the order of events that's happening now.
I mean, I don't know how seasons is in Japan and where they are specifically located in there. So maybe there is a summer part of it during January. So
maybe. I just know that Deku's been wearing a scarf this entire season.
Yeah.
So yeah, it depends where they're located. I did like seeing Uraraka float the airplane. That was sick. Her also having like those cords that she added to her costume, kind of reminiscent of Black Whip, was also pretty great. It had its moments. I enjoyed this episode for the most part. Selkie's also a cool filler character. He's a non-canon character. So whenever he shows up in these filler episodes, it's kind of fun. But yeah, beach episode was kind of weird. Didn't really need it. It was kind of just an excuse to get all the girls in bikinis. Let's be real. But yeah, I'm glad we kind of got past that one, get it out the way. My Hero Academia doesn't really do filler that often, so it was just kind of weird in general. And it did set up the movie towards that post-credit scene, kind of hinting at the villain that's going to be there, which also kind of felt out of place because it was just a complete tonal shift from the rest of the episode. Leo, How you doing?
Oh, just listening in, you know. Not a big fan of the filler stuff, but you know, when they do filler, usually it's pretty good. They had the filler episode to introduce us to the season, and I thought that was well placed. I think putting putting filler here kind of just makes people impatient. Like, I'm just kind of impatient waiting for this next arc. I feel like a broken record saying it every week, but I mean, when we gonna get it, man?
It's true, and it's, you know, we try to be patient, give them the benefit of the doubt, but like it's like we said a few weeks back, they did this so they can have the Endeavor stuff out of the way for the movie. It makes sense that they threw a filler episode in here because this arc's wrapping up, and that movie comes out in what, 2 weeks? It's frustrating.
Damn, it's that soon? 2 weeks? Yep. Holy crap.
I mean, it's good for us because that means we get to finally move on to what we really want to talk about. So, Isaac, I guess that brings us up to episode 107, or episode 17 of season 5, The Hellish Todoroki Family. This one picks back up from manga canon and kind of sets up what's going on with the Todorokis. So, we know that the big three have been working with Endeavor, and he gave them a challenge, right? They have to stop one crime, stop one incident before he does. And they're struggling, man. Like, no matter how much they try, they can't keep up with the number one hero. And they're determined to eventually make that a reality. Bakugo also has just become a comic relief character at this point because nobody takes him seriously. Leo, I'm going to toss it over to you since you didn't watch the filler episode last week. What were your thoughts on this week's episode?
Really like this week's episode because it does give us a lot of really good character moments with the Todoroki family, and it does build up for something that is going to happen way later in My Hero Academia, and it does it very well in this episode. And I kind of like that the anime is like really placing these nuggets and hints to further character plot points like really well. And as a manga reader, like I'm seeing that and I'm just like, oh, there it is. Like there's our first sign of something that's going to happen later on. And I think that they execute that very well. I like that you've got the dynamic of siblings where there's kind of this different dynamic between all of them, even though they all have this tension between Endeavor. You kind of have the sister who is really trying her hardest to unite everyone, and she's kind of almost acting like a motherly figure while the mother is gone. You've got Shoto's in the middle, where he is allowing himself to train with Endeavor, to use Endeavor's talents and his intelligence to get better as a hero, but also still deep down does want to forgive his father, but is in that waiting phase, as Deku talks about in this episode. And then you have the other brothers kind of on the extreme right end of the stick, where he's not ready. He doesn't want to be there. He's quiet. He's reserved around Endeavor. So I like this. I like the dynamic between the three siblings and how there's all this different, while they all still feel the same and they still feel the tension between their father and themselves. There's different ways of handling it in each of them. So it's cool to see that and the dynamic that Endeavor has, and like the fact that it's kind of like his biggest love is his family, but that's also his biggest weakness in a sense because of how he treated them back then and having to harbor these feelings and hold them down so deeply. It's a lot on Endeavor too. And it's cool to see these moments where he just kind of like leans back in his chair and like recalls how horrible of a father he was, and that even though he is number one amongst the ranks, he's still not number one to his own family.
For sure. Isaac, what'd you think of this one?
I mean, like we said earlier, and you mentioned earlier, and all that. Yes, this is extremely flashback heavy episode, and that can be annoying. But then we have, but as someone that has watched the Bleach anime, that was like 10 minutes, the 10 last minutes of the previous episode, and 10 new minutes of the footage. flashbacks done right doesn't bother me, if you get what I mean. This was at least had a purpose within it and not just to be cheap, if that makes any sense. And flashback be damned, but from a character standpoint and personal standpoint, I dare argue this is one of the better episodes in this season so far, from a character and perspective and all that jazz. Because, like Leo said, we truly delve into the family dynamic and get more knowledge of them, and just it allows us to be in Deku's and Bakugo's point of view of how that family really is. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, definitely. I get what you mean. I really enjoyed this episode too, for the most part. There was a moment though where it was like 5 straight minutes of flashbacks, like to the point where we got a flashback inside of a flashback. And at that moment, I was like, "Come on, guys, this is ridiculous!" Like, there's this
insane.
Yeah, like there's a moment where we flash back to Endeavor having a conversation with All Might, and in that flashback, All Might has a flashback to his younger self. And I'm just sitting there like, guys, did we not have any money to animate anything else in this scene? But like you said, aside from all that, it's great character stuff. And that's what I love about the Endeavor Agency arc, is we not only dive into Endeavor's character, but Fuyumi and Natsuo and Shoto, and even, like you said, seeing how Deku and Bakugo react from the outside looking in. It's great stuff, considering hardly any action was in this episode of My Hero Academia. But I find that's usually when these stories are their strongest, when we can take time and develop these relationships and these characters. And I think this is the first time Endeavor, one, actually hit Shoto's mother that's seen on screen. So we get a real sense of just how abusive he was to their family. And it makes sense on why the kids are reacting differently. And I like how they also used Bakugo again as a little bit of levity, because like he knows what's going on. He's just like, the dinner was ruined. You can't invite guests over and have all these family issues out in the open. It's like, it was great from a character point of view. I loved everything about it. As far as how we developed the relationships and developed that story. One thing that's kind of annoying is the stuff with Toya. In the flashbacks, Toya's hair is red, but in the photo, Toya's hair is white. And that feels like an error on the anime's part for not knowing what to do with that character.
Good point.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, like the anime always made Toya's hair the wrong color. And so it got to the point where I assumed they were just going to like correct it whenever they did the flashbacks, but they didn't even bother to change the flashbacks anymore. His hair is still red, and in the photo it's white. And it's like, okay, that's confusing.
I mean, maybe, he started out with the red hair, was just not feeling it with white.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been I want to look like mom, right?
Right, there you go. I mean, who knows? Who knows, man? You're right. It's probably just an error, bruh.
Yeah, that's a bit... that's a bit, how should I put it, jarring, now that I think about it.
They've done it ever since season 2. Whenever we would have flashbacks to Shoto's childhood, Natsuo would always have white hair, and Toya would always have red hair. And it's like, eventually that caught up to him, and it just made no sense in this episode. But yeah, aside from like all the flashbacks, and that's what's kind of concerning, is pacing wise, that took up 5 minutes of the episode doing that in their flashback. And while it was great kind of development and seeing him like reflect on his life and as a father, it is going to hamper the season in the long run, giving up 5-6 minutes worth of flashbacks every episode.
Yeah, I mean it's a common anime thing when it comes to flashbacks. So like I think I've kind of gotten to the point where I'm like, oh, this is a flashback episode, and I just kind of sit back and know what I'm in for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like Isaac said, it's not like
I
Bleach,
said,
right?
yeah. At least flashbacks serves a purpose compared from a story perspective. Then let's just reuse the last 10 minutes from the previous episode and have as it be in the first 10 episodes for the next episode, and just have the last 10 minutes being new stuff. Didn't Naruto at some point did that too? Or am I mistaken?
Oh man, well, Naruto and flashbacks are synonymous with one another. So
I was just, I thought, I'm not talking about flashback, I'm talking about the 10 minutes from prior episode. If it did not Bleach from time to time, or am I mistaken?
it would be like
Once in
the
a
first
while.
2 or 3 like minutes or something would be like maybe a snippet from the last episode, like Naruto, especially like I don't know why I remember the Zabuza arc when they threw those shurikens and did that trick, and it's like, oh yeah, the first like minute of the episode is that. Like it's not a long flashback from the last episode, but like yeah, they would like snip a piece in.
Hey,
I mean, My
that
Hero
Zabuza
Academia
fight
does
was
it.
worth it.
Yeah, that was tight.
At least with that, you can argue that is like previously on Naruto sort of thing in just 1 minute or so is just a nice way to recap that half of the episode.
Yeah, it's
You
like a
know what I
nice
mean?
cold open, to speed people up of where things are.
Yeah, but anyway.
I'm excited to see where this goes. This one kind of had a post-credit stinger of a guy that we're not going to talk about yet because we know what happens there, but anime onlys do not. Also, just backtracking to the Selkie episode, I like how they introduced Trigger for the first time in the My Hero universe. That is a big deal in the Vigilantes comics, so I wonder if filler episodes are going to start kind of diving into Vigilantes territory once in a while. Thought that was a neat touch.
That I can agree on. Can agree on.
Guys, do we have anything else on episodes 106 and 107? Or do you guys want to just hop into manga discussions?
Yes, please give us MVA sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I'm hoping the next episode is like the last one before we dive into MVA. Like, come on now. I think the next one will be a nice little button up to all this Todoroki shit. It's time to get into MVA.
Next episode could be the end of the arc. Well, again, assuming how many flashbacks and callbacks we get and set up. But yeah, I expect this arc to end within the next couple episodes at most.
Yeah. And watch NBA be start of season 6 instead. That would just be anticlimactic.
I mean, it'd be a heck of an opening for season 6, though. Let's be real.
Yeah. But anyway, shall we go to the chapter?
Yeah, spoiler alert, everybody. If you have not been keeping up with the My Hero Academia manga, this is your spoiler warning. It's chapter 320. There was not a chapter released this week, so we're reviewing last week's chapter. Again, chapter 320, My Hero Academia, Deku versus Class A. Little late, but I appreciate the effort, buddy.
Yeah.
So we're picking up where we left off, guys, where Deku's facing off against his classmates. We know that they are not going to let him go without a fight, and Deku, as we kind of expected, is not really going to try and fight his class. So they're just doing their best to contain him, except for Bakugo, who just releases a brand new move we haven't even seen from him, Landmine Blast, which was kind of cool. Also, Bakugo jokingly notes Deku's different art style compared to the rest of the students, which was a nice touch. So yeah, in this book, we don't get a lot from Deku's best friends, right? We get one shot of Ida, one shot of Uraraka, a couple shots of Bakugo, but the rest was the rest of his class: Koda, Jiro, Zero, Ojiro, Tokoyami, which I thought was a really nice touch, kind of just showing the camaraderie between all of the students, not just like his closest friends. So, Isaac, what were your thoughts on chapter 320 here? And is this fight going kind of how you expected, or did you expect it to actually be a bloodbath and they were actually going to come to blows?
No, at worst, I was maybe thinking he would charge against Bakugo or something, considering all the attempts they had been fighting, or Bakugo attacking him, considering, well, he's Bakugo, if you know what I mean. But
I mean, he did go in there a little bit, but Deku got away.
Yeah, and like you said, I just love how he did a Deadpool and broke the fourth wall, so to speak. And I don't know if what you guys thought, but it's clearly they clearly know within this. I think this chapter clearly indicates that they know that they can't handle him strength-wise, because that they have no chance. Because I'm just looking after it. Jira saying he's gotten way too strong, a serious strength of will too. But what they do instead, they go from the emotional side. They mention how much they mean to them and all that, yes, and how much he has helped them growing and all that, yes, which is a way of it's arguably the best way of getting to his defenses and say, hey, we want to help you, we can help you. And
they're trying to pull a talk no jutsu on him,
sort of, because especially the last part, not so fast. I'm not weeping and moping around anymore, because you matter to me, you're my friend, and when we are scared, we tremble together. When times are tough, we cry together. So if you're dead set being some comic book superhero, which is just even more meta, then Class A won't let you live that fantasy alone. And like Todoroki said also, what a look you have on your face. Is this responsibility so much for you that you can't even let yourself cry? Seems like a burden you should share with the rest of us. I mean, a lot of it has so it just feels, it just screams that they know that they can't take him on strength-wise because of all this, but they go from the emotional standpoint, which makes sense because he's exhausted. It just clearly shows. He's extremely exhausted. Sure, he can break loose and all that, yes, but you can just tell from the dialogue and just the way he is drawn and all that, yes. I mean, they even mention Eri, and yes, that's fine. It's fine. Eri doesn't need me. It doesn't have to be me. And just the fact that he mentioned Eri should it just proves my point that they need try to get to him through the feelings and not beating him down to a pulp.
It's going to be interesting to see how he handles Todoroki and Bakugo, because those are two characters he has never beaten, right? They fought way earlier in the series, but they haven't really come to blows since then. So it's going to be interesting how he deals with that heaven-piercing ice wall that he just crashed into. Leo, what are your thoughts, man?
Really like this chapter a lot, because especially with what Isaac was saying, they knew that they couldn't beat him by sheer force. He's too powerful at this point. So they spoke the moments that they remember the most. And it just speaks to how big of an impact that Midoriya had on the class, even within just the smallest moments, and how much he has gotten the students to think differently about their abilities and about themselves. And I thought that was like really cool to have Shoto be the one to like block him off, because they had such a huge moment towards the beginning of the series where, you know, Deku was like, I want to fight all of you. And he's using like his abilities to the best of their ability. So I just think this is a great chapter. I liked what you said too about them not touching on like his biggest friends in the class, biggest being Uraraka, Kachan, and Ida, because I'm sure we'll probably see them say something next chapter. But I like that everybody was reinforcing to Deku how big of an impact he had on the entire class in those individual moments, no matter how small they were, even though some of them were saying things like, you know, I don't remember too many moments we had, but I do remember this specific thing. It just goes to show how big of an impact he had on the entire class. And like none of them could stop him besides Bakugo. Like everybody was struggling to get him to chill out for a second. Like homeboy was on the run, about to break loose. If it wasn't for Shoto, like Deku would have gotten out of there, which it seems like he's going to still be scurrying away next chapter. But I think they're going to get him to a point where, they're going to have to join him, because they're not going to turn back at this point. Like he's going to have to just let them come along now. Like they're along for the ride, bro.
Yeah. And I just love the character moments here. It's like what we were talking about in the anime discussion. My Hero's at its best when it dives into these character moments. It's not really the big action set pieces that you probably come to expect. Like Deku fighting his entire class. It's not much of a fight at all. It's more of him just trying to escape. And I like the touch. And I don't know if we mentioned this in the last chapter review, but I like the touch of Danger Sense is not going off because he's technically not in danger. I kind of had a feeling, I don't know if I actually said it or not in the review, but I kind of had a feeling that maybe Danger Sense won't see his class as a threat. And so he's technically down a quirk since it's not activating, which I think kind of gives Class A an edge because they know what his powers are. And if he can't sense them, Bakugo could come in out of nowhere with his speed and power.
Yeah.
That's well said. Yeah. No danger
he
sense.
He even said, like Danger Sense, that say you're not you don't want to hurt me. Otherwise, Danger Sense would kick in. So that begs the question: would the Danger Sense kick in if Bakugo came in and attacked? Knowing him,
I mean, it didn't because when Bakugo lands that landmine blast, Danger Sense didn't alert Midoriya. So that presents a new window of opportunity for them to attack. I also like how they all know his.
Yeah, but yes, that landmine blast was clearly indicated to get rid of the smoke screen, though not attacking Deku. If you think about it.
Yeah.
So that wasn't exactly something he was trying to use as hurting Deku. He was trying to, where the fuck are you? Get back here kind of attack.
Maybe. I don't know if it's going to actually kick in. Also, there's this great color page, the cover of Froppy. I just love when we get color pages. We're getting one more next week for the next chapter. Also, as you were saying, Leo, like his best friends haven't made an appearance yet. I think it's really cool how we ended with Sue and Todoroki because they're friends with him too, like really good friends. That USJ attack, it was Deku, Sue, and Mineta, right? And then season 2, it's him and Todoroki. So we're kind of working our way down his friends list.
It's like a ladder. It starts with like the dude who controls animals, kind of just like, okay, like that's clearly a character that he's not really close with, but still has had an impact on. It kind of works his way up to like the secondary chain of friends, like Shoto and Froppy are like the secondary right underneath the three that are gonna have their moment next chapter, most likely, when he's gonna have to realize, y'all, he can't ditch Class 1A. Like, he cannot leave them behind.
Is he gonna pass out in the next chapter?
Yeah.
Wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me if that he did that. I mean,
It reminds me of
Look how
Uraraka's
exhausted he
fight
is.
with Bakugo. It reminds me of Uraraka's fight with Bakugo in season 2 Sports Festival, where she was giving it her all, and then there was a point where she just passed out, and that's that's how Bakugo won. He probably wouldn't have beaten her if she was able to stay on her feet. It feels like it's going to be a similar situation because he can only run for so long. Like, I think it's going to end up catching up to him, and that's probably the moment he realizes he can't do this alone.
Yeah, it's like all the stress has like added up to this point, and it's, I mean, Deku from season 1 would have been dead doing all this, so it's like it's gotta hit him like by the time he reaches and listens to the next 3, it's gotta hit him at that point.
Yeah, for sure. What do you have any expectations? Because we knew that they were gonna have this little face-off here. Are you like Isaac? Are you expecting anything in particular within the next couple chapters, or you think like by the end of the next chapter they're a full-on team?
I was wondering if they maybe go back. My question is, the principal said that he is welcomed back to UA. Mm-hmm. So are they going to drag his ass to UA to just charge the batteries and all, just organize it all on how they can handle things? And second of all, are we going to see All Might soon? Because we haven't seen him in a while. And Stain also. Are they going to maybe after next chapter? They're going to go back on that regard. Maybe having this. Maybe they are a bit. And now we go to All Might instead, or something.
I'm afraid if we cut back to All Might, something bad will happen.
Yeah, because we still got to cut back to him and Stain. Like, Stain was there, but remember, Stain has respect for All Might, so it's not like he's gonna kill him.
Yeah.
My fear is that Stain killing him. It's that if we cut back to All Might and Deku's not there, does All for One go after All Might as a way to, hurt Deku?
I mean,
go on, Leo.
I kind of don't want All Might to die because I want there to be a case of one of the vestiges witnessing all One for All working out. Like, I feel like at this point it's been like every vestige they've had to pass it on to the next guy when it's like I'm between life and death, my man. Like, you gotta carry the torch because I'm about to die. It would be nice if one of the vestiges got to stick around long enough to see One for All finally pay off.
Right. I don't want All Might to die either. Go ahead, Isaac. I'm sorry.
While I'm with Leo, I still stand by the fact that I don't know how, but I think the next conversation he and Deku is having is through him being a Vestiges. It's just gut feeling. I don't know how he will die, but it just... And maybe it's a bit cliche, but it just... with how they build up at he don't need him anymore as a mentor and all that jazz. That it just... I have a bad feeling, and like a famous Star Wars quote, I have a bad feeling about this, and I do believe that. Or
So
I should rephrase that.
That's a good point, because just like right before, like it would be crazy if that was like his last conversation with Deku, because then Deku would harbor a lot of regret in his heart.
Yeah, but it just because let's face it, that conversation was a symbol of he don't need All Might as a teacher right now, doesn't need All Might as a teacher anymore or a mentor. He has learned how to handle it. So that's why I just wonder if, from a storytelling perspective, if that's a sign of his days are numbered. Question are just when, and like you said, Leo, it would put a lot of regret in him. But if he got a conversation with him, with his Force Ghost, that say that just sort of like Obi-Wan to Luke, going if you talk Force Ghost here, just say that he's proud of him or something, and all that. Yes, it could create a powerful emotional moment, and just like I said, it just while it would be fun to see at least one previous user survive to see the big bad going down, it just feels like all the signals feels like he's gonna die. Question is when and how.
And it seems like it kind of seems like All Might's purpose is Deku, and like helping him harness the power of One for All and master it. But it's like, okay, if you take that out with what Deku said last chapter, you know, I'm the hero now. What is All Might's purpose?
Exactly.
I don't want All Might to die, obviously. I think it would be sick if they just kind of flipped it on its head and All Might and Stain are just out there being vigilantes. It'd be kind of funny, kind of reminiscent of seeing Uncle Iroh training all throughout season 3 of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and then he just like busts out of prison. If All Might and Stain go out there with basically no powers and just like lay waste to all these random thugs, that would be one heck of a spinoff. Just for like 5 chapters. That's all I want, you know?
All Might and Stain?
Yes.
Dude, that would be awesome.
Yeah,
like
that's
Stain
the
is such
optimist
a
in
cool
me,
character, man. Like, let's give him some more moments, man.
That's what I'm saying. Like having them team up would be a great moment because he's kind of got this anti-hero vibe to him, which is something my hero doesn't really have.
I mean, I could see Stain save him at one point, but if he survives, I think it could be through Stain helping him. But like I said, I don't think Stain is gonna kill him. But I think All Might is as good as dead. I hate saying that, but what?
Stain's a really interesting character in this world because remember, going all the way back to end of season 2, so like maybe chapter 25 or so, the entire League of Villains joined because of Stain. Like Dabi, Toga, Spinner, they all joined because they were fans of Stain. So if Stain makes like a movement turning against the League of Villains and the Metal Liberation Army, I wonder what that means for a character like Toga, who we haven't seen in so long, and she kind of left the League of Villains last time we saw her. Does that incite them to kind of turn against All for One, especially since we know that Shigaraki's not even in control anymore?
I mean, it could be like we talked about before, an enemy of my enemy is my friend, so to speak, and considering he's All for One is taking over their leader's body and, so to speak, they maybe want to help taking down / saving him, depending on how you want to look at it, because they feel betrayed or something.
Yeah, I can see that coming. I don't know though. It might, if Class A is teaming up with Deku and Deku's teaming up with Endeavor and the other pros, that might be a bit much. If we're trying to wrap this up now, it depends how long we want the series to go, because we still don't know how long this final arc should be. You know.
I mean, he has said that he wants to utilize he wants to give every character their. Didn't he say recently that he wants to give every character their moment to shine and all that jazz?
Mm-hmm.
So it could just be so.
Man, I know we all gonna be crying when or if All Might goes out though. Oof. That's gonna hit, bro, boys. Oh my god, that's gonna be heavy.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. I don't need to feel that much pain this year. Oh man, that would be heavy. That's one of the reasons though I don't think it's gonna happen, really, because we've already tortured Deku enough. I feel like that might be overkill. Again, depending how soon it is. If it's like, 10 or 15 chapters down the line, maybe you can get away with it, but All Might's death would just be going a little overboard.
So he's going to kill Eri. Kill Eri. What the fuck am I talking about? Kill All Might and kidnap Eri. That's what I'm saying. So I
need you to repeat that so I can follow what you were saying.
So he's going to kill All Might and kidnap Eri because she has a quirk that's interesting to him. Is that what you're saying?
That is the complete opposite, but thanks for playing, bud.
I
know, joke. Did you guys have anything else before we get to this question that was submitted to us?
I'm good.
So, friend of the show, Brandon Alvarado, the Scarlet fan, UA's best librarian, right? Sent us this question, and I'm going to toss it up to you, Leo, first, and then Isaac and I will bounce off from there. Brandon's question was, quote, what do you think about the idea that even heroes need to be saved? Sometimes even from themselves. Examples including Endeavor, All Might, and now Deku. We touched on this a little bit before, a couple episodes back, even when Uraraka mentioned it in the anime. But again, what are your thoughts on that, Leo?
Yeah, I think that's a reason why characters like Uraraka exist. Because I think every hero does need that person or group, aka Class 1A for Deku. They need that person or group that's going to be there for them. Because a hero always shoulders everything on their back. And I feel as though that burden can really make its way back around your psyche, really tear you up from the inside. And all these heroes need that backup so that, that they won't be eaten away by themselves. And I think that characters like Uraraka, even Ida, are characters that are like that. They are the hero support. They are the people who come in and actually help the heroes mentally. So I think within 1A, you already have heroes who are like that. Now, in the current hero society, I feel like All Might was a little bit of that character because he was always that symbol of peace, that symbol of hope. So anytime any of the heroes felt their hope dwindling, he was always there to be that beam of light and to really just always put a smile on anybody's face, including the other heroes themselves. And I feel where we've gotten up to in the manga kind of illustrates what it looks like when you don't have that, especially in Deku.
For sure.
Spot on.
My thoughts on the matter are echoes a lot of what Leo was saying. I like this idea, though, kind of the introspection of what it means to be a hero, right? And again, going back to the beginning of the series, Deku is this bright-eyed 14-year-old child who is aspiring to be like his idol, All Might, who apparently has no apparent weaknesses until like episode 1 or 2. All Might shrinks in front of Deku, and we see the flaws and the weaknesses, and how All Might was basically dejected and deflated at that point in time. Deku's kind of the spark that All Might needed, because he got the injury fighting. We later learn is All for One, and he loses Night Eye because they're not on speaking terms. And like All Might going through this really hard time of losing his power and getting weaker alone. So much so that he tells somebody who's pretty much the spitting image of him that they can't be a hero, right? That they can't make a difference or aspire to have the career and job that they actually want in life. And seeing Deku save All Might, seeing Todoroki and even Fuyumi eventually save Endeavor, it's kind of the entire theme of the series. And you don't really notice it at first because you get the sports festival and the League of Villains, but it's always been an undertone in the show. And I like how it's kind of those seeds planted in the first few moments of the series are growing into this really touching and impactful thing of even the people doing all the saving need to be saved themselves. And that's what I love about Uraraka and Ida's characters, is that Ida had to learn that firsthand from Stain, and Uraraka just kind of learned that living throughout the show as a side character, seeing how all of these events affect Deku. And it's one of the reasons why I'm so excited to see what happens in these next couple of chapters, because I'm sure with Ida and even Bakugo learning from Deku as well, becoming a hero who fights to save people, I'm sure that's going to be really great to see get fleshed out in future chapters. Sorry, I've been rambling. Go on, Isaac. What were your thoughts on this question?
Yeah, I think you two have been pretty much spot on, so I don't really know what to add on this.
Okay, then. Yeah. Thanks, Brandon. If you want to continue contributing via off location and with your questions and giving us really cool stuff to think about, keep doing it. And you guys listening, tweet at us too, at the Amateur Otaku Pod on Twitter, and we'll answer your questions there and on the show too. This was fun.
Yeah.
Do you guys have anything else to say on this week's My Hero anime or any of the manga stuff?
No.
I'm good. I just hope the anime eventually works its way over to MVA.
Yeah, we've been a broken record about MVA because it's been so tiring. It's just so, and it's annoying because, again, the Endeavor arc is one of my favorite parts of the story, and you can't even really enjoy it because you're just sitting here like, eventually we'll get to MVA. Or the fact they even spoiled, Toga living throughout that arc, because there was MVA ends and we're not even sure Toga's alive at the end of that story. So not been fun. Isaac, we're wrapping this show up. Where can people find you? And do you and Brandon have anything coming up this week that you want to let the people know?
Well, you can find me over at Emblemaniac on Twitter. You can find me in my work over at Global Entertainment. I need to find some time and finish the reviews and articles I'm working on. It's like 4 or 5 article or / reviews, so it takes some time, especially since there are different kind of beasts. And we have me and Brandon doesn't have anything planned for this week. Maybe next Monday, depending on his schedule. And if that comes to fruition, it should be a lot of fun. Where Brandon have said that he probably going to need a couple of beers.
Looking forward to that. That should be fun. Leo, What you got cooking this week, bruh?
What's up, y'all? So we got a lot in the kitchen cooking for this upcoming week. So Superman and Lois is on a break now, but I will be dropping my reaction to the latest episode tomorrow. And I also got a reaction for Captain America, the First Avenger, going up on the channel on Tuesday, as I will start going through the MCU in chronological order. Then we've got more coming up as well. We've got Jungle Cruise, which that review will drop on Tuesday. And then the Green Knight coming up this week for a review as well. And I will have a reaction for the Jungle Cruise, as this is Disney's last movie on Disney Plus that will release simultaneously and in theaters. So to celebrate that, we'll do one last reaction, one final hoorah. And then we're back to the movie schedule, guys. And there's a lot coming up. So come on over to the channel, check it out on Geekly Goods, and we'll see you there.
I am really interested to see your thoughts on the MCU in chronological order. That's not the order I usually watch them in. So that's going to be interesting to see how that kind of shifts around, because I know you're going to have to do Captain Marvel after Captain America.
Yeah,
right?
That's what I'm like most interested in, is like I want to see Captain Marvel and Captain America back to back, and then go to Iron Man, and then the Hulk, the Incredible Hulk. It's going to be a crazy journey.
Real excited to see that. And of course, Jungle Cruise and the Green Knight. Green Knight looks to be really good this weekend, so I can't wait to check that one out too.
Ooh,
Guys,
that looks good, man.
Definitely. Guys, you can find me at Novice Cinephile on Twitter, on YouTube, on Facebook, The Novice Cinephile on Instagram. I am going to be reviewing I Am Not Starfire for Wabam Entertainment. Also, Avatar: The Last Airbender, Suki Alone. Both books come out on Tuesday. Reviews will also be up on Tuesday. So check that out at wabaменtertainment.com. Also, got some stuff on collider.com. 7 shows like Rick and Morty, and how to watch the Naruto movies in chronological order. So we've got that for you. We will catch you guys next time for another My Hero Academia. Hopefully we're done with My Filler Academia. Go Beyond. Plus Ultra. Peace.
Plus Ultra. And where the fuck did Leia?
Isaac?